Our next guest is Congressman Blake Moore here. He was in the service today for Sergeant Sorensen. This is your district. These are your people. What did you take away from the service today?
Yeah, the service was exceptional and sad and painful and very emotional. But when you watch all those officers all saluting at this, I mean, there's thousands of officers here from neighboring states and obviously many other areas of the state. That's an experience you don't forget. And so my big takeaway is just how important it is for us to, not only honor these officers and their service and their dedication and their sacrifice, but just continue that on our day-to-days with our law enforcement from all of our different communities. And that was kind of the thing that I was kept thinking about. We all know somebody. We're not going to get a chance to maybe even meet Lynette and her children that have gone through this unspeakable tragedy, but somebody if you live in Utah County or Paiute or Salt Lake or out in Duchesne, an officer, somebody that you can go and just share your appreciation and support for.
Hits close to home for so many. You mentioned Congressman Governor Cox said today and yesterday that when he learned the news, one of his first thoughts was this kind of thing doesn't happen here. It's such a surprise. Can you tell me how you learned it and what went through your head when you found out what happened?
Yeah, the individual that leads my office in Ogden was the first that gave me the news, and I think my response was like the same exact thing. 2 officers, and I later found out that has not happened in Utah in over 100 years. For it to be from a community like Tremonton Garland, that just doesn't happen. That's a significant portion of their entire workforce. It's more than 10% of their entire workforce. That's the part that it was really, really tough, that part of it. But in the same breath, days later, we were able to go. We were up at the rodeo and the Box Elder County Fair, which is, as the governor also said, and I hope that every Utahn could listen to the governor's speech. It was sensational and it was emotional and it really moved me. And he made some points that I had never even considered. But that community comes together like nowhere else, and you saw that from the parade and the falling off the horses with the riderless horses into the rodeo. Communities raised money for them, and it's not this insanely wealthy community, right? But they've raised a ton of resources for these families, and that happens in Box Elder, and it doesn't always happen everywhere.
And we've talked a lot yesterday and today about that community coming together, but also the whole state. We've seen people pour in support from across Utah. Have you seen that at all in the last few days?
Yeah, of course, and it's the important aspect of these services, not only to honor the families and share your condolences, but to remember it's special when it's a law enforcement officer that's killed. That respect is second to none. Maybe to our troops, it's another that's comparable, but these folks give the ultimate sacrifice. I hope you wouldn't see this with a politician. You wouldn't see this with other types of things, but you see this with our law enforcement, and it should be that way. And I'm really just that's the thing I take away from seeing the community come around it. Let's keep that going. Let's continue to permeate that through all of our communities and honor and serve and respect those that respect us. You mentioned the governor's speech. I had never correlated the fact that he has a security detail, people dedicated to support him, but we all do as well. That's the way the system is set up, and I never thought of it that way. It was a neat sentiment they shared.
Law enforcement very much in the spotlight right now. We're watching them on camera, where we're talking to them, we're interviewing them, and we don't need to have a policy discussion. Now's not the time for that, but I am curious. So many departments tell us they're struggling to recruit police officers. People aren't necessarily thinking about it as a career choice for them. But can you reflect on that for a moment? Is there something we can do to address that, or to talk more about what police do in the community?
Well, the 2 things that I've heard from our folks within law enforcement and within the leadership is, yes, that it is an issue, and that's not a policy discussion. That should be talked about. So I'm grateful that you bring it up, because it is something that's concerning. But the thing that I was surprised, Matt Gwynn, he's a state House representative. He's also the chief of police for Roy, Utah, and we had this exact same conversation, and he just said, "We need your vocal support." like we're still going to have people come and serve in this capacity, but we need to make sure that people are being more vocal about their support for law enforcement and how much they appreciate what they do and what their sacrifice is. And that's such an easy thing, right? And so I highlight it in my newsletter, this type of stuff. Like I try to do little parts of it. Try to, whenever my son, or when we're walking across the street to a game and we see an officer, to make him stop and introduce themselves and say hello. And it's the little things that actually make it so they can do big things for our community. And that was that was a surprise to me, that was their ask. Now, of course, there's policy and there's retirement and there's also, making sure that they're compensated fairly. All that's, again, policy discussions. But the things that we can do on a daily basis is show that appreciation, so people recognize how much there is. I mean, when you see this, you're like, wow, there is a lot of love and support for our law enforcement officers. But I guarantee you they don't feel that on a daily basis.